don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose, pick a new silver excuse. I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're just freaked out. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Deku, and quite a bit of things have been going on. Now, Deku, in the last part, he was still trying to get over what happened. Deku lost his arm in an incident where people captured him and were going to turn him over to some scientists to study. They thought he was immune, and Deku, he was trying to explain to them that that was not how it works. But they did not listen. Now, Deku, after a series of events that led to his removal, the removal of his arm and the loss of one of his eyes, he got back to a place where they were going to set up a base. And thanks to Momo, he actually was able to get proper medical treatment and actually start to heal. As we do pick up about 2 weeks later. So, just about 17 days after Deku cut off his arm. And right now, Deku, he still is in that room. He has trouble thinking about it. Yeah, right now, it's a bit hard to travel. With it heating up, zombies are actually getting a little bit more mobile. And some of them, they're starting to improve, if you do want to give it that name. He's noticed that they're acting different again. It seems like they have seasonal patterns. So these things are smart enough to adjust to the climate. And some, well, they do get demobilized or immovable during the darker or colder times, then really it means that there's something there. This means that they can at least plan things out or make big projects sometimes down the line during the winter. And Deku, he does start to think about that. As we do have our Momo, she does walk into the room with Kendo. And Deku, he actually does stop writing in his notebook as he does go to sit up. What's up? Hey, we wanted to talk to you. Okay. What is it? The people that we found at the school, the ones we traded for the medicine, they want to meet you. They want to talk to you. Do they? Yes, they do. We've been sort of communicating back and forth for a bit of time. Within the last week, we've given them updates. They saved our friend. And their leader, they're curious to know exactly what's going on. They want to know who our leader is. They want to talk to us and see if we are interested in an alliance. Deku looking at Kendo, as he does look towards Momo. Momo arguing that they really shouldn't move him yet. He was running a fever last night. And she still thinks that he should recover for at least another week. And Deku, he does at least go to stand up. Whenever he does so, he does slightly wobble, trying to get accustomed to the way his body's been altered. Now, Deku, he does at least go to try and put on a shirt, trying to explain to Momo that he feels fine. Yes, he gets headaches, and yes, he still does feel disoriented, but that's something he needs to get accustomed to. It'll go away on its own. Deku just trying to make up excuses. As Kendo, she does watch on. Deku, he does talk about how they can just communicate via radio right now, can't they? I mean, we can technically, but that's still a bit risky, right? Deku sitting back down on the bed, as he does tell Kendo that it is risky, yes. However, they don't know these people. The first couple interactions they've had with some people have been bad. These people are some of the first genuinely good people that they know of. And that's the thing. Deku bring up his right hand, talking about how he still doesn't trust them. He's skeptical about it, and that's for good reason. These people, they don't know, and they're talking about an alliance after 1 week of communications. So, what does that really tell them? As Momo and Kendo, they do both look at one another. Kendo has an idea, and so does Momo. Momo, she's the daughter of a businessman. She thinks that these people, they're going to try to discuss trading. Since, from what she saw over there, they're scavengers. And they don't really get a lot of food. Their group is a relatively small one, but compared to theirs, it's actually a large number of people. And this does pop through Momo's mind. But for Kendo, she's a bit more of a fighter. And she sees it a bit more like this. She sees it as those people they might try to make an alliance, find out where they are, and attack them. She thinks that Deku he's trying to be precautionary because of this fact. However, Deku he does continue talking. He tells them both what he means. These people, if they're truly genuine and they want to team up or talk, this means that they might be talking to more people. They might have more, well, camps, more places to stay. That means that humans haven't been driven out of the city. And Deku he does continue talking, expressing to them that if there are remaining humans in the city besides just them and these groups, then at one point down the line, it could take years, it could take decades. There's a chance they can seal off this city and create a safe haven. Deku's still talking about that. They can retake the city from the undead and make it a safe place in Japan. Now, Deku he also does at least continue talking, expressing how that is a possibility one. They get people and create larger groups, take back the city from the undead, and then move out towards Japan. Yes, it's a very heavy undertaking. However, option B. There's the fact that these people they might be trying to team up with them so they can take out another group. Like the Hero Agency people. Yes, the people he killed. They may have been those people. But they don't know. They still aren't aware of the numbers. And if they are to get caught into their war, he would really rather not try to risk their necks for them. Especially if they aren't even on speaking terms. Now, both the two they do look at Deku. As Deku, he does go to stand back up and walk out of the room, talking about how their conversation will just be held on walkie-talkies, since they can at least get a form of communication running, or at least a line. And all of them they do leave the base. Them taking back some supplies from the most recent scavenging place in town, and heading back to the mansion. Now, we do actually have later on into the day. Deku, he actually is sitting down. He's outside and he's waiting. As whenever Kendo shows roll up on a bike, she does get off of it. Her actually going to toss a radio towards Deku as he's going to bring up one of his hands. Or bring up his hand. Deku trying to catch the radio, as it actually does somewhat go to the right and slide off of one of his fingers. Deku actually being hit in the face by it, as he is going to try to catch it with his hand. Pushing it into his chest, it is going to pull it back out and then look towards Kendo. Kendo just with her hands up, and saying sorry. Now, Deku, yeah, he doesn't really say a word about that. He does just go to click down the button and speak into it. Hello, this is Izuku Midoriya. I've heard you guys have been wanting to speak with me. I'd like to discuss terms and find out exactly what you would like to do with my group. Deku letting go of the button as he does wait. Now, a lot of people they do come walking over. As we do have Mei, Toga, and well Momo. All of them sitting down with Deku as they do listen in. Deku he does look at everyone crowding around him, as a voice does come through. Yes, hello. Them giving their name, explaining that their group is the one that supplied them with the medicine that Momo she had. Deku actually somewhat turning to look towards Momo, as she does go to bring up her hands. Deku just looking back towards the radio. Yes, I understand. I do appreciate it, and I do believe my people gave you resources in exchange, correct? Yes. The extra vegetables and plants, they helped out quite a bit. However, my people, we're kind of desperate at this point. Our stocks of food, they're running low, and every day we have to defend against zombies. The infected, they're too numerous around us. We try our best, even just locking our doors and staying silent doesn't work. It seems like they know we're here. Deku just waiting. Whenever the guy does go silent for a bit too long, Deku does open his mouth to speak, informing the man that that does sound like it's a very bad problem, and he would like to help him with it. However, he'd like to know exactly what his group stands for, and how they've managed to survive for so long. And Deku, yeah, he does just wait, as the radio does go, well, basically light up, and Deku does hear the man's voice. The man starts to explain. His group, they got lucky. A lot of them used to be the kids who were either delinquents or they were just a bit rough around the edges. Some of them, they didn't go on a school field trip. And thanks to this happening, they kind of got off easy. They were able to lock up the gates to the school and kill the infected who did get in. It was kind of a bit challenging. It took them weeks to get all the bodies out of the people who were infected. They were all that remained and they just tried to stay safe. They boarded the walls. They just did what they had to. Many of them, they had to put down friends, some even family. And the man he does continue talking, expressing to Deku that he is aware they're all from UA, correct? Yes, that's correct. Deku looking back towards Momo. As she does is nod at Deku, and he does continue talking. The two are starting to discuss. Deku, he's learning more about this. From what he understands, their group, they are very lucky. Their school wasn't exactly one that was like UA. They started a bit earlier. And while it did seem strange to Deku, he didn't really mind it. This whole thing. It relaxed him for a minute. He knew that these people, they could somewhat be given some trust. And then the man he does start talking, expressing to Deku about the people who they're nearby. Him bringing up the hero agency, as Deku he does at least go to start talking. Yes, I'm well aware. We've seen those people around before. Many of us have been lucky enough to not run into them. However, I believe that I most recently did. Yes, you were attacked, correct? Yes, I was. And you were bitten? in the stomach, if I'm correct, aren't you? Um, yes, I do have some bites. And my appendage that was removed, my arm, it was bitten as well. I got the limb off after my infection started to spread. I was lucky enough. Is that your next question? The person going silent, as they do move on, changing the subject. Simply asking if Deku and his group would be so kind enough to help them. Take these people out and make sure they're people they can survive. Split the resources and get new scavenging routes. This being where Deku he does at least inform the person that he's going to have to discuss it with his friends, since he's not going to make a rash decision like this. He'll put it up to a vote, and if they do decide to join them, then there's going to be some rules that their people need to know. And after that's all said and done, they will start to discuss what will happen after these people are taken down. This being where the person they do at least agree, and Deku does tell them that they're going to need to maintain radio silence for now, and that if they do need to communicate, that they need to just click the button down twice. The person at least saying yes as they stop talking. Now, Deku he does look around, informing everybody as to what to do, as all of them they're sitting down. And they're just starting to wonder. This is all new. And what Deku just said, he's gonna let them decide? Everybody at least starting to try and discuss. As Deku, yeah, he kinda knows where he does stand. Right now, they're on the verge of becoming nearly self-sufficient. Yes, it's kind of hard at the moment. They're starting to run a bit low on water, and well, they do have plenty of crops. If they run out of water, they run out of food. And that is kind of the problem. May can only come up with so many different ways to try to help spread water out easier and use less of it, since giant puddles kind of aren't really the way to go. Now, Deku, yeah, whenever it does come time to vote, he does vote to kill these people, bringing his hand up, talking about how they need to make sure that nobody gets hurt. And everybody, they kind of do stare at Deku. Some people looking back and forth, as some of them they do go to bring their hands up. And then we actually do have where it does get to Mei and Toga. The both of them, they still haven't voted. And Mei, she does bring up that if they can get plenty of tech out of this, then she'll be up for it. However, there is just a problem. Her looking at Toga asking if she doesn't want to do this. As everyone, they do look at Toga. Some people, they do have their hands down, and some people, they simply don't have them raised. Others, they're still on the fence. There was Kirishima. While he did somewhat throw his hand up, he hesitated whenever he almost had it out of the way. He didn't know killing people, that's not really a good. It's not something a hero would do. However, there's just the thing. He put his hand all the way up whenever he started thinking about red or crimson riots. He remembered that the man, he grew up in a different age of heroes. And there was a time before his age. Some heroes, they did kill villains. And while they weren't really seen as heroes for it, people, they slept better. They knew that they weren't going to be hurt again. And this did make him think about it. Now, after the vote was counted, we do cut over to Deku, who currently he is trying to get the hang of things. Deku, he's standing in the kitchen, and he is just trying to grab a cup of water. Momo, she does walk into the room, her seeing Deku as he's just trying to work on his hand-eye coordination. And she does just watch him for a minute. As Deku, whenever he does grab the glass of water, he does look at Momo. What is it? You're serious about this, aren't you? Yes, I am. You don't want to try to rethink it? I don't know what there is to rethink. These people, they kill. These people, they're just too far gone. They don't treat human life the same way that heroes do, that regular people do. They're just monsters. And what about you? Hmm? What? Momo walking over, as she just go to bring her finger up and push it onto Deku's chest, talking about how he's talking about killing. He's talking about throwing away their lives. So, what does that make him? Deku looking at Momo, as she raised her hand along with him. What about you? Hmm? I know what I did. I know why I raised it. I know what this is gonna do. There's no stopping it. If we don't stop those people, they can kill, yes. I agree with you there. But we can try to reason with them, can't we? Kendo, Momo, I don't know. Now, Momo, she does just look up at Deku. What is there to say to him? Can she not get through to him? Her actually going to bring her hand up, as she does go to try to smack Deku. And we do actually have where Deku, he does go to bring up his right hand, going to grab onto her wrist. As she did do that, you did actually have where she went to go bring up her left hand. Her going to smack Deku, as she did just go to wait. She hesitated. And Deku, he does just stand there staring at her. Her with both of her hands up, as Deku, he's holding onto one of them, telling her that if she wanted to hit him, just do it. He already punishes himself enough. He still values life. However, right now, those people, they don't. He knows what they have to do, and he knows that they have to change. They can't go soft. They have to learn about this. Sooner or later, they're going to die. And they need to be able to at least say they tried to fight. Say they tried to stay alive through all the psycho bullshit they've been put through. And Momo, she does just stare at Deku. He does show, well, he shows this emotion. He shows that he hates it. He has a knot in his stomach forming. And he looks like he's going to vomit. And Kendo, or not Kendo, Momo, she does just stare at Deku, as she does go to just lean in. Her going to kiss Deku, as she does just go to wrap her arms around him. And this does catch Deku off guard. He kinda doesn't know what to say, or even really what to do. However, he does go to bring his hand up and go to push away Momo. He does seem to be just caught off guard by that. What was that for? Deku does say, "You're an idiot." Now, Momo, she does go to just walk away, telling Deku that he needs to think before he acts. Now, Momo, she does just try to get out of the situation. We do actually have Deku. This is new. He does think. Him bringing his hands up to his face. Why didn't she smack him? And why did she do that? God. Is this just... Deku actually somewhat turning and punching the wall, as he does just go to walk away. He's just confused. And right now, they're gonna go on a mission. They're talking about things like they don't matter. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.